everybody. Today we're going to be reading Pure Evil Mikael Myers ex-listener up in here. I'm really excited for this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea. Also, a short but decent reminder that all the songs that are going to be linked to each individual chapter, I will put in the link in links in the description down below, also with the title. So if the link doesn't work, you guys can look it up for yourselves. Just a little small reminder. But anywho, without further ado, let's get straight into the recap.
Duet this video if you'll punch me in the face for all this money.
You want to play that game with me, Skittle Face? I'm a minor who doesn't have her rights anymore. Why don't you taste this rainbow pink?
Okay, y'all, so we are first introduced into like way back then in like 1963, 6 more days until Halloween. And basically, long story short, we were a new kid in a new neighborhood, been like at school for a couple days, you know, still being new and all that. We didn't have many friends, and we always sat next to him, and all of a sudden we had like, you know, the courage to finally ask him, hey, do you want to be friends? And then he at first ignores us, didn't believe us. Then after a little bit, we start, you know, being friends with them, communicating, talking, and he walked with her to the house, and yeah, they were talking all the way, talking about their interests. Next we is in chapter 2. It was finally Halloween, and Wyan and Mikael were like super excited for it, obviously Mikael. And as soon as Wyan met up with Mikael, she was noticing a bit the vibes were a little off, and then she was like, you okay, cuz? You okay? Like you have a little bit of, you know, ketchup on you. And it was like, you know, spaced out. And then he asked if we could do something for him, and we were like, sure, what's up? And then it's like, we should start a family together, come with me. And then we start hearing sirens and, you know, wah, wah. And then he ran into the house, and he was pulling us really harshly, so we had like a bruise on our wrist. And then he was pulling us, trying to hide us, trying to take us away pretty much to live with him. You know, I know as you simps would love for that to happen, but no, it doesn't happen. He ends up getting caught. Parents take us away, and we never see him ever again. Now time skip to 1973. We basically work at a shop, and it is the 10th anniversary of Mikael Myers' killing on Halloween night. And then we're like, Mikael Myers, why does that sound so familiar? And then later on, we get finally to Mikael's point of view, and he was making a mask in Smith Grove Sanctuarium, where he was kept like ever since he killed his parents. And he was making a mask because that's what he likes making masks, so he has a lot of masks on the wall, and he remembers us very vaguely, but he still remembers us. And then he's like, I miss her, I need to see her, she is mine, only mine. And then if you guys watch the video of me reading this, bro, right after I think I put something that like I think it wasn't Gumball, and then he was like, she will be mine, and then just smacked it to his. That's what it reminded me of exactly, bro. It was so fucking funny. Anyway, and we're back to YN. She was talking to her friend, and our friend was checking on us, and we said about having some nightmares, blah, 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 blah. Then we pulled into a diner. We saw this random girl that somehow looked similar to us, or we felt like have a connection. We ignored it though and pretended. And then we got back home, and your mom decided to bring you some old stuff, maybe to just cheer you up. Then we all of a sudden saw something that kind of triggered memories a little bit, which was a picture of us, Mikael, and his baby sister, which is Boo, I believe. And pretty much we're like, we started crying, and we're like, who is this man? Who is this? Who is this? And we find out that Michael Myers finally escaped from Smith Grove Sanctuarium at nighttime, and that we had to be careful. And we were like, he escaped, huh? And then all of a sudden we felt like we were being watched, and then we're like, we turning around checking where the hell was going on. And then we're like, we good. Then as she was filling up some gas into her vehicle, which, damn, you got enough money for that. Just kidding, it was cheaper way back then. She saw someone hiding behind a tree, which may I mention in some Michael Myers movies, he sucks at hiding. At some, I think at 1 or 2, I've heard. Anywho, and then she looks again, and then boom, he disappeared like a ghost, for real. Then it was Halloween. She decided to call her mom about it, ask her about the memories, and ask her why she hated Halloween so much, because she was curious. Then her mom was like, nah, it's better for you not to know. And then we were like, huh, we need to know right now. I need to know. And then her mom finally cracked and said, fine, explained us the whole story of what the heck happened. Then we were like crying ourselves. We were crying. We were tearing up. We were shitting bricks. Everything, bro. We were doing every single thing you think we were doing. Then later on, we went into town to grab some stuff. And we find this book that's Devil's Lies by Dr. Samuel Loomis, which we know who that is. And then we were like, oh my God, that's the book about Mikael. Then we went into it, and it says the story of Michael. And we saw finally a picture of a young girl with blonde hair, and then that's where we had the realization, oh my God, the girl I saw at the coffee shop, that is Boo, you know, like, what the hell? And then later on, we finally find her address, because she's been adopted to the Strobe's house, whatever. Then we basically, you know, she invites us in, blah, 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 blah. We tell her what's up, what we need to do, what we have to plan. She starts crying, shitting bricks, tearing up. And then later on, I kind of got confused. I'm not going to lie, in this area. But I'm guessing, you know, someone was babysitting. They stuck together. All of a sudden, they went into a random house. Everyone, like, 2 people were down. I think one of them was dead. One of them was barely alive. And then they saw Mikael. And then someone was like, call 911 now, blah, blah, blah. And then they were trying to run away. And they were all terrified. And they were running in and out. And when I tell you, it was kind of a stupid move to, like, run in and out. Like, they were running, like, they were stuck inside, then they ran outside, then they went to another place, and then just barricaded the door, which unsuccessfully made him go through. And they locked themselves into the bathroom, and they were just like, go away. And then he just slammed into the door and kind of just basically broke it. And then last but not least, he basically kidnapped us and ended up, I believe, pretty much killing Boo. Or, excuse me, Lori. I think either it's Boo or Lori. But yeah, she got a new name. So it's Lori. He ended up killing his little sis. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's begging and everything. So yeah. Anyways. End of recap. I'm sorry this was a bit extra. It's just we read a lot of chapters, you know? Now finally chapter 7. Mikael's POV. I lifted her up bridal style and carried her throughout the old house filled with horrible memories I wish to not remember. I set her down on my bed and tucked her in. I admired her beautiful, sleeping frame. She looked so peaceful, delicate, like she would fall apart to a simple touch. I caressed her cheek, wiping off the excess of her tears. I kissed her cheek and went out to do my normal killings. Wyan's POV. I woke up to the sun beaming into my eyes. I rubbed my eyes and adjusted my eyes to the setting around me. I wasn't in the room I was before. It seemed a little less dirty, and there was a bed. Mikael must have taken me here after. I shook off the horrible memories that happened last night. I do not want to remember that. I still feel horrible for not helping Lori. I'm so weak and pathetic, I thought. My eyes stung, and a warm liquid ran down my cheek as I quietly cried into my hands, knowing I'm not going to get out of here without Mikael doing something about it. Time skip. I'm guessing 1 hour, just whatever, 100 later. I flinched at the sound of the door slowly creaking open. I turned my head towards the door and watched Mikael walk towards me, with a bag in one hand. I inched backwards as he sat on the bed and started rummaging through the bag. I stayed quiet and I watched him pull out a sandwich and a bottle of water. Thank you. My mouth cracked as I took the offerings. I could feel his stare drilling holes into my head as I ate. I began to lose my appetite and finished up. Can you go away now? I just want to be alone, I said a little too harshly. He pounded his fist into the bed, and I flew backwards in fear. I trembled, afraid of what is to come next, regretting what I had just said. Yeah, I would too. I would too. He clenched his fist and got up swiftly, walking out of the room, slamming the door. I quivered and felt kind of bad. I swore at myself in silence. Why are you feeling so bad for a killer? He just killed your friend! My thoughts screamed. God, I need help. A thought came into mind, and the realization of how dirty I was finally came to me. My clothes were torn up, and I was showered in dirt and sweat. I slipped out of the creepy bed quietly and slid over to the door silently. I tried the knob, and it was, of course, locked. I knocked on the old door. Mikael, can I please take a shower? I said, hoping he wouldn't be upset with me. And just as I thought, no response. I walked back over to the bed, disappointed about the way I treated him. I mean, he did bring me food. I sat in bed and slowly drifted off, hoping for a better day to come. I blinked my eyes and awoke from my slumber. I realized I was still in the same place, hoping everything was just a dream, but to my dismay, it was not. I scanned the room and Mikael was nowhere to be seen. At the end of the bed was nicely folded clothes and a towel. On top of it, a note read, "Don't even think about escaping. Go shower. I will be back around noon." As my mouth formed into a small grin, finally being able to take a nice hot shower, I walked over to the door and it opened. I slipped out of the room and walked to the room that was right across from me. I slid in and it was a restroom. I turned on the shower and I tore my filthy clothes off. It felt so relieving to finally get those gross rags off. I stepped into the steamy shower and let the water hit my back. It felt like heaven. It was the most amazing thing I felt in a while. I washed the dirt and blood off my body and stepped out of the shower, drying off. I slid on the clothes Mikael brought for me. A black t-shirt, I'm pretty sure was Mikael's because of bloodstains and it was very large, and baggy sweatpants. It's not the best, but it'll do for now. I walked back to my room, not trying to escape, not wanting to know the consequences. I laid back down, awaiting to know what is about to happen next. Ooh, I like this. I like this picture. I like the oh my goodness. Chapter 8. I wasn't certain how much time has passed, but I didn't dare move from the bed. I just stared up at the boarded up window while thoughts danced violently across in my head. Would I ever see my mother again? The thoughts rang in your head. Surely they would look for you. You wiped the tears that gently rolled down your cheek. You were swept away from your thoughts when you heard the door slowly creak open. You stared intently at Mikael as he made his way over to you, the fear in your eyes very obvious. He examined your form, since you were wearing his clothes. You smirked at the thought of him smirking under that bleached white mask. Finding it amusing, you looked so comfortable in his clothes. You were startled by his next action. He raised his large hand, moving it towards your face as he moved it across your cheek, gently rubbing your face, feeling the fear slowly slipping away. You flinched at his touch, tensing up, but somehow giving into it. He drilled a dark glare at you as your eyes connected, and you felt the fear slowly slipping back to you. He must have saw the fear in your eyes and moved his hand back and got up to leave. You don't know why you were what? You don't know why you were angry at him? You don't know why, but you were angry seeing him walk away, and without thinking, words slipped out of your mouth. Mikael, please don't leave, you said in a soft tone, instantly regretting as he stopped in his tracks and slowly turned back to you, sending you a dark glare. Does this man only send dark glares? You stared deeply back into his cold, icy blue orbs as he slowly walked towards you. The floorboards creaked and you swallowed bitterly. Just stay until I fall asleep, please. You spoke as you moved back, giving him room to sit. He just stared, head tilted slightly. He made his way over to the bed and sat down at the edge of the bed, staring at you. You smiled softly, trying not to anger him, thinking he was irritated, making him stay here with you, when he would probably want to do other things. But when you gazed up at him, he had a soft look in his eyes, almost as if comforting, peaceful. You softly laid your head down on the hard pillow and slowly started to drift away into your thoughts. You didn't know why, but you felt safe with this killer. Maybe it was because you were old friends and had a special connection. Something about him was kind of comforting and warm. You slowly drifted off into a deep sleep. You blinked your eyes open, slightly rubbing them as you woke from your slumber. It was probably the best sleep you had in a while. The presence of Mikhail felt nice. You still didn't know why after he brutally slaughtered your friend. You rubbed your temples, trying not to think of that night. Speaking of Mikhail, where is he? You glanced around the room. He was nowhere to be seen. I quietly slipped out of the bed and tried the door as it slowly creaked open. He must have left it unlocked, you thought. You tiptoed around the upstairs, glancing into every room until you got to the last room in the hallway. You saw a figure sitting on a bed in what seems to be an old bedroom, which you assumed was Mikhail's old one. The figure was Mikhail, but he didn't have his mask on. Your orbs examined his features. He was really pretty. He definitely wasn't ugly. Dang, skincare routine, Mikhail? His bright eyes glimmered in the sunlight, flooding through the cracks of the boards on the window. Every feature on his face fit him perfectly. His brown locks curls fell over his broad shoulders perfectly. You felt your face heat up and you covered your face in embarrassment. I'm totally not gonna fall for a lifeless killer. Not happening. You uncovered your face and continued to examine him. You finally caught on the only things he was wearing was the pants of his suit and a black tank top / undershirt showing off his biceps and broad figure. He had an obviously big build, like he worked out every day. When did he get the time to work out? You questioned, since he was locked up most of his life and you didn't think he had time for that. Bruh, most prisons have like some type of some type of like outside area where they have like where you can work out. I don't know what you mean why they can't work out. You were about to leave until you stepped backwards, causing the floorboards to creak loudly. Shit. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Oh, bro, you need to relax. You need to relax. You need to relax. This is what the author says what Mikey would be looking like. And oh my god. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Chapter 9. Oh goodness. Oh thank goodness. Chapter is Okay. You froze in fear as you watched in horror as Mikhail shot his head toward the door. Shit! You repeatedly cursed in your head as he stood up and made his way over to you. You held your face in front of your face, afraid of what was about to come. I'm so sorry. You suddenly felt his large hand wrap around your neck and you felt the air leave your lungs. He slammed you against the wall and grunted. You clawed at his hands and your eyes filled with fear. You could hear his heavy breathing as his glare burned into you. You two connected eyes and you saw the anger and rage burning in his eyes. Mikey. Bruh, I'm sorry, I can't get past those photos. Or those GIFs, bro. You choked and gave him a pleading look. You stared into his eyes and you thought you saw them soften a bit. Suddenly, you were dropped onto the cold floor as you felt the air fill your lungs again. Catching your breath, you were suddenly picked up and thrown over his shoulder. You didn't even try and fight against him as you were too afraid of what he might do. He brought you back into the abandoned room and threw you onto the bed and grunted. He sent you an irritated glare before turning back towards the door. Michael, I'm sorry. She meant it. He stopped and turned towards her. He simply nodded and walked out of the room and closing the door, locking it. You clasped your face in your hands as you curled into a ball and cried. How did I end up here? You sobbed. You just wanted to get out of here. You missed your mother deeply and wondered if she was even looking for you. You wondered if anyone noticed you had disappeared. That made you sob more. You began to calm down a bit, trying to think of something else. You began to receive a huge headache from the recent incident that had just occurred in front of Mikhail's room. You rubbed your temples and laid your head on the pillow, just trying to sleep without wanting to suffer anymore. Your eyes fluttered open as you had the deep feeling of someone watching over you. You examined the room and saw Mikhail sitting in front of you, his stare burning into you. This man don't really know like the basics of not, doing that, but okay. He saw you wake up and walked over to you. Hey, Mikael. You sent him a soft smile, attempting to not get on his nerves. He huffed a bit in response. He lifted his hand and placed it on your forehead. You guessed he was checking your temperature. I'm fine, you croaked, fidgeting with your fingers. His hand led down to your cheek, caressing it. Your face flushed a soft red, and you let him do his thing without not wanting to anger him. You were caught off guard as he picked you up bridal style, walking out of the room. Intently stared at him, wondering what he was doing. He walked downstairs and made his way over to the kitchen, setting you in a chair. You watched as he poured a glass of juice and put what looks like waffles? You couldn't tell what it was, but it looked to be burnt. He set it on a plate and brought it to you. You glanced down at it, realizing it was in fact waffles. You thought of him trying to make you the perfect meal, made you smile a bit. At least you tried, but why? You asked yourself. It looks good, thank you. You gave him a sincere smile and poked at it. You took a bite and gagged a bit, but tried to hide it. He tilted his head as he watched you eat his breakfast, and he attempted to make you. It's delicious. Bro, just imagine. My picky self could never, bro. Not even for nobody. I'm like, okay, man, let me make the damn waffles. You choked, trying not to throw up. You took a sip of juice, and the urge to throw up went away. Our poor character, bro. He continued to stare at you, waiting for you to finish, as there was still a lot left on your plate. You stared back at him. I'm not that hungry, but thank you. I guess I don't have that much of an appetite. You smiled as you didn't want to upset him, knowing he wouldn't react in a good way. Ugh. This man sounds like he needs some anger issue class. You heard a low growl coming from his throat as he sent you a dark glare, not accepting that answer. You frowned a bit, picking up the fork and shoving the rest of the burnt food into your mouth. The urge of throwing up came back to you, and you fought it, finishing it all. You felt relief. He nodded at you, which meant good. Oh, hell no. I would be like, man, I don't know. Man, I don't know if I would just like sit there and just look right back at him and like the prolonged eye contact, or I would just look at him just like, hey, look over there, and then he looks, and then we just run back into the room and matter of fact lock ourselves in there or something. I don't know, barricade it with the bed. I don't know. You laid in the old, worn-out bed in a trance as you stared up at the ceiling. You were waiting for Mikael to come back from his regular killing spree. It had been a couple days, though you lost track of time. Most of the time, I just laid in the bed, trapped with my own thoughts. Me and Mikael had dinner together regularly, and there had been no more incidents since that one time. Thank God. Hopefully you've been eating some good food, I hope. You accepted that you were probably never going to go back home and didn't think much about it. You knew you were going to die here, and you had to live with that. Your sanity slowly slipping away from you as you kind of formed a special bond with the killer, just like when we were kids. Now, first things first, I don't know why a lot of fan fictions don't do this, probably because, for character, connections. But personally, I would rather die than eat, oh, hell no. I'd rather be stuck in that room. I'd be like, listen, if you ain't gonna make some good food, I'd rather starve. And a matter of fact, if it's the kitchen and you have dinner together regularly and you put the dishes, you just quickly grab that weapon and honestly, I would never suggest this in real life. Never off yourself, but attempt it. He might be mad, but I mean, honestly, it's a ginormous risk. I honestly would rather starve myself to not eat this terrible food I'm hearing. Sounds like a nightmare, especially when it's every day. Oh my gosh. I could never. But it might be dramatic, but hey, it gets your point across. Definitely. It definitely does. Anyway, you were slipped away from your thoughts as Mikael walked in, handing you a bottled water. Your eyes widened and you shivered as you saw he was covered in blood. This man, the caucasity. Your bottom lip trembled as you realized he saw the fear on your face. He sat on the bed next to you, and the blood, bro. and rubbed your head gently. Afraid he would hurt you, you felt the fear slowly drift away. You smiled and leaned into his touch. You could see Lori's ghost cursing at you. I would be too. You felt horrible, but you just felt a special connection with this lifeless killer. Can you stay with me tonight? The words rolled off your tongue without even thinking. What did I just ask? You stared at his blue orbs sincerely. He stared back at you and his eyes were unreadable. He simply nodded and was about to get into the bed until he stopped and, wait, can you at least shower first? Because you're drenched in blood. You asked pleadingly. He groaned in response, irritated as he hated shower. I know you just didn't. This bitch. As he hated showering. You looked at him with puppy dog eyes and he rolled his eyes and walked out. This bitch. Oh, hell no. Oh my god. No. That man was a 3 trillion to a 0, bro. I know you. If that's still something from this man. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Hygiene needs to be at least basic good hygiene, man. I'm scared this man don't even brush his teeth. My goodness. You frowned at this and laid back in dismay. That frown turned into a smile as you heard the shower turn on. You sat back up and wanting to see him in clean clothes, making sure that he didn't just stand there with the water on. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Time passed and you finally heard the door open. You shot your head, turning towards the door as you saw a dripping Mikhail walked in. Your face flushed as you saw him in sweatpants and a black t-shirt that was just a little too tight, showing off his biceps and his muscular form. You glanced up at him and your eyes widened. His ass was... Did I just say ass? Oh my god. His ass was out. His ass was out. Dripping. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Oh my gosh. Ay. We would just simply die. You glanced up at him and eyes widened. His mask was off and his brown locks flowed perfectly over his shoulders. Still a bit damp. He better not use hidden shoulders. Good. You said, cheeks flushed with a red tint. You patted the spot next to you and he made his way over to you, lifting up the comforter and placing it over the top of you. You turned around, not facing him. You felt his arms wrap around your waist, pinning you to his chest. You felt warm since it was usually cold in the room at night. He wrapped his arms around you and held you close as you embraced his touch, drifting off into your dreams. Oh my goodness. Chapter 10. Good for you, author. You finessing. Anyways. Your eyes flickered open and you felt arms tightly wrapped around your small figure. You turned your head and was faced with a sleeping Mikhail. You smiled as you admired his perfect features. For once, he didn't look so angry and full of hatred. He snored a bit and you silently giggled. He buried his face into the crook of your neck and squeezed you tighter like a teddy bear. You tapped his arms, trying to wake him up because you were literally suffocating from his tight grip. Mikhail, wake up, you're gonna end up killing me. You whispered softly and gripped your small hands around his large forearm. He groaned, loosening his grip and sliding his hands onto your waist. Your sanity came back to you for a second. What am I doing what the hell am I doing in bed with a fucking killer? You tried to push him off of you, just for him to pull you closer towards him, responding with a low growl. Mikhail, get up. He whispered, trembling a bit from the realization. He ignored you and continued to embrace you. You finally gave up, letting him do what he wanted with you, and gave into his embrace. You slowly drifted off and back into sleep. You yawned and patted the spot next to you, but it was empty. Mikhail was nowhere to be seen. It was cold, which meant he had gone for a while. You slid out of the bed quietly and stretched, and noticing a purplish bruise on your forearm that hadn't been there before. You raised a brow, deciding not to give much attention to it. You noticed a water bottle, as usual, and a plate of pancakes. You sat upon the bed and filled your mouth, and it was pretty good from Mikhail's last failure. You finished the breakfast and brought the plate downstairs. Mikhail finally trusting you to roam around the house, knowing you were too scared to escape. Oh, the caucasity is real. The caucasity of this man is real, because The audacity that he thinks I wouldn't jump off the highest window in that house and fall to my death willingly. The audacity. You wash your plate and glance over to the fridge, noticing that there was now a small picture that was stuck on the fridge. It had not been there before, and you examined it, noticing it was a picture of you and Mikhail that was taken all those years ago. A grin smeared across your face as you stared at it. Mikhail put it there. Suddenly, a muffled scream filled your ears. That scream. Mikhail's scream. "She's mine!" The small blonde-haired boy yelled. You covered your ears and curled into a ball on the floor and tried to block out those horrible memories that flooded your ears. "Please make it stop," you choked to yourself, now sobbing mess on the floor. You hadn't even noticed Mikhail arriving home and noticing you were on the floor having a mental breakdown. He rushed over towards you and crouched down, reaching his arms towards you. You flew backwards, still sobbing. "Get away from me!" you yelled, surprising him. You were in a mental state, losing control. "Please just stay back. Don't hurt me," you choked. He glared at you with a confused, worried expression in his eyes. He grabbed your arm, lifting you up. You flinched backwards at his sudden action. "Stop! Get away!" You felt a hot stinging tingling across your face as you knocked back to your regular self. Mikhail slapped you. You stared at him in shock, the fear slipping back to you. You held your cheek and ran upstairs. You closed the door and sobbed into the cold, hard pillow. You tried to regain your sanity. He slapped you. Millions of thoughts danced around in your head as you held your head and into your knees. You know he only did it to help you, but it still hurt you, mentally and physically. You shivered and rubbed your arms to gain warmth. You wrapped the comforter around your small figure and laid there, trapped in your own head. Oh, you poor thing. You poor thing. Chapter 11. By now, you had no idea how much time had passed. Days turned into night, just like that. And you had barely left the room since what happened. You hadn't seen Mikhail since then, and he only came in when you were sleeping to bring you food. He knew you were afraid of him, and he didn't want to bother you. You didn't know why, but you missed him. I know it's crazy, and you cursed yourself for it, but you started growing, a thing for him. Until he laid his hand upon you, all those feelings slipped away like they were never there. You sighed and laid there, gazing up at the boarded-up window. You had no idea what time it was, but it was pitch dark outside. You couldn't sleep that night, your thoughts keeping you from drifting. You flinched at the sound of the door creaking open. You closed your eyes in response and felt a pair of eyes on you. The floorboards creaked as you heard something clink against the wooden side table. He was putting whatever food he had brought on the table. You felt his presence hovering over you, his gaze burning into you. You heard footsteps fading away. "Mikhail?" You whispered, not knowing he heard you until he stopped and turned his gaze towards you once again. "I swear if we're gonna..." You just it makes me so mad. I'm so sorry, but it makes me so mad. Oh my gosh. You bit your lip and muttered, "I'm sorry." He tilted his head. "For what?" he read. He swiftly made his way over to you, crouching down in front of you. He lifted his hand hesitantly as if asking for permission. You nodded and felt a small grin forming on your lips. He ran his fingers through your hair and rubbed your scalp. To be honest, it felt amazing. You leaned into his touch and smiled. You swore you heard a low chuckle coming from behind that white mask. He brought both of his hands up towards your cheeks, cupping your face. You connected eyes with him, never breaking eye contact. You stared into his icy orbs that read, "Do you forgive me?" You leaned into his hand. "I forgive you, Mikey." "I wouldn't." "Shit, make better food." He loved whenever you called him that name. Excuse me. He loved it whenever she called him that name. The way it rolled off her tongue so delicately, that gave him life. It made him feel all warm inside. He didn't like it. He wasn't used to feeling that way. She's the only person that made him feel so full. He loved her deeply. "I won't hurt you again," he thought. "Can you take your mask off?" You questioned. He just continued staring at into your orbs. "Please?" You questioned him once more, his hand slowly leaving your face, and made his way to the ends of his mask. He lifted it off, his brown locks falling out along with his beautiful features. You admired his face so much, you didn't know why. He wore an expressionless face as he continued to stare at you. You lifted your hand up and twirled your fingers through his hair, playing with it. He tensed up at your touch, not expecting your actions. You should keep your mask off. You're really pretty. You sent him a sincere smile. He gave you a look that read, I don't believe you, or liar. I'm telling the truth. You're very attractive. You ruffled his hair and placed both of your hands upon his shoulders, and your eyes widened, feeling how muscular he actually is. You saw him grin a bit, and in response you smirked. See? You know I'm right. You giggled. He reached his hands into his pocket, taking out a small notepad along with a pencil. Sorry, y'all. I got jump scared by Google once again, so excuse-moi. Anyways. Anyway, he began to write, and you tilted your head curiously. He held it up to you, and it read, You're attractive too. You smiled big, and your eyes softened. Thanks, big guy. He stared at you, and you stared back. Your gaze burned into each other, and you drowned into his contagious blue eyes. You couldn't look away. His eyes were filled with lust. Ooh. He leaned his face towards yours, now very close to your face than he was before. You shivered a bit. You were cut off by his lips connecting to yours. You felt your cheeks warm up and your eyes widened. You fell into his deep kiss. It felt amazing. Where did he even learn to kiss? He leaned backwards, admiring your hilarious expression on your face. You frowned as you watched him get up and walk towards the door, walking out. What just happened? You questioned as a million thoughts danced around into your brain, around in your head. Your thoughts were interrupted as Mikhail entered the room once again, but you noticed he was holding something. He sat next to you on the bed, and he held it out to you. It was a small silver necklace. It had a heart locket on it, and your heart dropped when you realized how he got this. You just smiled and took his small gift. Can you help me put it on? Handing it back to him, he simply nodded and wrapped it around your neck, clipping it. The small eye contact you two shared while that was happening made your heart flutter in your chest. Thank you. You gave him a soft smile. You saw the small smile form on his lips. You inched backwards, patting a spot next to you. He approved your request and laid next to you. He wrapped his large arms around you. You felt safe in his arms. He was also very warm. He was like your own personal heater. You leaned into his chest, embracing his touch. He kissed your head and gently rubbed your head, sending you into a deep sleep. That is so cute! Chapter 12! You woke up to Mikhail's heart slowly pounding in his chest. It was like music to your ears. You snuggled your face in his chest and listened to his low breathing. You got an idea and quietly slipped out of his arms and stepped into the cold wooden floor, hoping he didn't wake up. You tiptoed towards the door, leaving the room. You quietly moved downstairs and made your way into the kitchen. I wonder if he owns any food. I mean, he must have, since he always brings me food. You realize it's probably because he gets it from the people he slaughters houses. You shivered at that thought and examined his cabinets and pantry. You found a box of waffles and just decided on that. You popped it in the toaster and explored the fridge. There were a couple of water bottles and juice. You grabbed the juice and poured it into an old glass that you found while looking through the cabinets. You were startled by the sound of the toaster popping and went over to take out the now cooked waffles. Ever since you got here, you have been on alert and a little bit jumpy. You suddenly felt a dark presence lurking over you, as well as a pair of eyes on you. You stood still, acting like you knew Mikhail wasn't quietly stalking you. You felt him go closer, and a pair of arms wrapped around your small waist and soft lips trailing down your neck. You smiled and looked back at him, and was met with a pair of blue eyes staring back at you. You smiled and turned around and handed him his now breakfast that you just prepared for him. He glanced down at it and just sent you a confused look. I've made you breakfast. I figured since you always make me a meal, I should repay you. You grinned and set it down on the table. You saw a small grin form on his lips and he sat down in front of the plate. Eat up, big guy. You giggled and stood behind him, wrapping your arms around his neck, kissing his cheek from behind. You felt safe and comfortable in his presence, now then scared, and have always looked behind your shoulder. You felt protected. You watched intently as he picked up the silverware and stabbed the piece of waffle, inserting it in his mouth. Now chew, you commanded. He obeyed, chewing it and sending you a glare. You clapped cheerfully. Good job! You giggled, treating him like a 5-year-old. He set a dark, annoyed glare in response. He's like, oh my god. You better put syrup on that. I don't know. I personally like my waffles with syrup. Now I'm going to make a vote on that. Now I want to make a vote on that. If people eat their waffles without syrup. Anyways, you were slowly drifting off, awaiting for Mikhail to come back from his daily killings. You had no clue how much time had passed, but you saw flashing lights flooding from the small cracks of the boarded-up window. Your eyes shot open and you quickly made your way over to the window. You peeked through the cracks and your eyes widened at the sight. There were 2 cop cars parked in front, and Loomis? He was standing in front of the house calling something out that you couldn't quite make out. This was your chance to finally get out of here. You wanted to get out of here. You wanted to see your mother desperately, but the thought of leaving Mikhail made your stomach turn. You made a close connection with him, and you didn't want that to go away for some reason. There was a small voice telling you to stay with him. You shook it off. This is crazy. Your sanity slowly started to come back to you as you ran towards the door, opening it and running downstairs, just to be faced with Mikhail standing at the end of the stairs, his dark glare burning into you. Oh my god! Bro, do you not see the flashing lights? Oh my gosh. He really was. I'm waiting. You know, I'm gonna wait here and see if she gonna do anything. Oh my gosh. This man. Ay. I'm sorry. Mikhail standing at the end of the stairs, his dark glare burning into you. I wasn't. You choked as you heard the front door being knocked down and your heart pounding into your chest. Oh goodness. Mikhail grabbed you and forced you over his shoulder, rushing up the steps. You heard Loomis calling something out. Mikhail, let her go, please. He made his way down the hallway, and as you heard Loomis chasing after him, you sobbed, not understanding what was happening since there was too much going on at once. It was all too hard to take in. Mikhail, please, this is not right. Loomis shouted. You choked on your tears. Mikhail, please, you said cluelessly. He suddenly stopped in the middle of the hallway, and all you could hear was Loomis shouting and Mikhail's low breathing. Suddenly, your whole world stopped. 6 or more gunshots were fired, and Mikhail collapsed on the hardwood floor. You fell, headfirst into the floor, and as your head began to spin, slowly slipping unconscious. Everything happened so fast. It was like a dream. It felt like nothing happened. At least that's what you wished for. You wished it was all a dream, that you were never kidnapped, that you hadn't even begun to feel sympathy for a lifeless killer who could give 2 shits about you and could have killed you at any second. Now he laid in a dimly lit hospital, trapped in your thoughts. Your head ached and you stared at the blank ceiling, unable to move. You were too sore and weak. Flowers and get better soon cards rested on the table next to you. Warm liquid began to spill down your cheek as all the horrible memories flooded through your head. You ended up crying yourself to sleep that night as all the memories danced through your head like a bad dream. Damn. Also credit to the author's friend for giving this idea, by the way. Oh my gosh, that sounds absolutely terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh my lord. Did you guys expect this to happen? Did you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Honestly, I didn't expect this to happen at all. I thought it was going to be way later on, but no, it's going to be down. Like, okay, damn. Oh my goodness. That was a little bit of a shocker, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed this though. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. Honestly, I am actually going to be making that that waffle poll. I will be. I promise you I will be, because I'm genuinely curious. Also, it's kind of crazy, like, when it was kind of like funny at the same time, that like Mika was literally waiting for her, just like watching to see if we would come down the stairs. Oh my god. Just imagine he's like, I'm gonna see what this girl does, see if I can truly trust her. And then she comes out of the stair racing to get out the door. She's like, oh, and she sees him, and he's like, really? And we're like, oh no, I was just, I was making sure you were there. Don't worry, I was making sure you were there. Oh my goodness. That stuck to me. Also, the pictures and the GIFs that this author just used to describe what he. Oh my lord. Anywho, to remind y'all again, if y'all need a reminder just in case, all the videos that are added to these chapters or music videos will be in the link down below in the description, so you guys could just basically press the link or look it up yourselves, because I will also put the title of the song, and y'all can listen to that while each chapter plays out. So it's gonna be a little bit exciting. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Anyways, yo girls gotta sadly go. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Stay strong. Make sure you stay hydrated. Drink some water. And yo girls gotta go. Bye and peace.